This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
That's a good question, because I'm going to tell you, things change so quickly with the portal and NIL. You know, it's an absolutely it's a madhouse. Example. Okay, the portal opened December the 5th. All the kids jumping in, and then kids still jumping in. Everybody's trying to get these kids, especially the ones, and most of the guys that are getting in the portal have intentions to enroll in January. Well, you only have about 2 weeks to try to get kids on campus, and you're fighting against numerous other schools, and then you're fighting against the NIL situation. So right now, I got some names, but I'm not comfortable putting anything out just because I don't know if they're actually going to be able to make it to Fayetteville. I mean, it's just crazy. It's nothing I've ever seen doing this. There's so much uncertainty about being able to get a kid on campus that it's just a different era of college football.
Yeah, it makes your job a little harder than easier. So on the high school guys, on the high school commits, good question from Jacob in OKC. I think there's 23 of them right now. What percentage and kind of who are some of the notables you expect to be early enrollees on this commitment class?
Well, a large number of them. Stephen Jones from the defensive tackle, who recently got an offer from Auburn. He's an early enrollee. Luke Hawes, if he stays solid, which I think things are looking very promising there, he's an early enrollee along with his brother Dylan. I'm just trying to think of off the top of my head. Carson Dean, the linebacker from Ephraim High School in Carrollton, Texas. I think Alex Sanford is another linebacker that is an early enrollee. I'll say, without looking at the list, I'll say the majority of the kids are intending to be early enrollees.
I know the story that broke last night, and a lot of people are trying to figure out who Morgan Turner is. He's been the tight ends coach at Stanford. Of course, they're in transition. It appears from all signs that he is the next tight ends coach at the University of Arkansas.
Yeah, and I highly doubt that he would be visiting all three tight ends today, tight end commitments, at least one visiting Luke with Coach Browse if he wasn't the guy. Mm-hmm. So, very good resume. Talked to Kevin Kelly, who has had dealings with him, especially during the Hudson Henry recruitment, and he spoke glowingly about Coach Turner, also Madison Taylor, the associate head coach and defensive coordinator at Pulaski Academy. He thinks the world of him. Got a story on OWOC Sports about their comments about him and how he just is a very professional guy when it comes to the recruiting process. And one thing that really kind of stuck out to me, to be honest with you, when I was talking to Kevin Kelly, is that even when Stanford didn't get Hudson Henry, he continued to stay in touch with him and was consistent in doing that. And that kind of tells you a guy that looks at the big picture beyond just that one recruit. He knows that Pulaski Academy could possibly have another kid that they recruit. So you're building that relationship consistently, and you're doing it in the right way.
Is this the same manner or the same process you think we'll find out about who the next defensive coordinator will be, that word will leak out through the recruiting trail? What do you think that process will go like, and how does it affect recruiting currently, both portal and in the high school commits that you're talking to, when you don't have a sitting defensive coordinator on staff?
Yeah, it could definitely leak out from the recruits, being told, and or it could just the U of A could just throw out a press release and do it that way. You just never know, and it could be could leak out from a coach around the country that's good friends with him, and kind of leaks out. But as far as the DC and the uncertainty, it kind of creates a little anxiety with the defensive guys and that are committed to Arkansas, and the parents too. And then with the portal, it does the same. But here's how I always look at it. I always tell people, look at the head coach, look at the who he hires, as far as just history wise. Well, obviously Coach Pittman hasn't been a head coach for a long time, but you see what type of defense he likes to run along with offense. I mean, he's not going to hire somebody that he doesn't agree with when it comes to offensive and defensive philosophy. The head coach is the one that's going to dictate that. And there'll be some differences from one coordinator to another, but the philosophy basically will be the same. And I think that's something that I bet that Coach Pittman's selling, and I think that's what kids and parents ought to pay attention to more so than, this defensive coordinator or this position coach is left, or this offensive coordinator is left and this position coach is left. That's always a possibility, regardless of which school you go to. I think you need to pay attention to the philosophy of the head coach.
Richard Davenport joins us every Thursday at 6:30, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports. You mentioned anxiety, Richard. I think a lot of people, Razorback fans, were anxious when they saw Nick Saban in the house of Luke Haas in December. Is there any indication that he's still strong to Arkansas with a new position coach, or do you think he's potentially rethinking his commitment?
I'm very optimistic. I think today has a good chance of sealing the deal, and I'm sure that there's a possibility that he could say something on social media that would indicate that. So we'll just have to see how things pan out.
We mentioned the number of recruits, Richard, and I know with the new defensive coordinator and a new tight ends coach, we're going to see transition not only within the coaching staff, but maybe some high school commits. What number, you don't have to tell me who's not going to sign, but Richard, what number do you expect of the 23 will actually end up signing with Arkansas?
It goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Things can change so quickly, but based on and talking to kids, parents, different people, different sources, I think a vast majority is going to sign on signing day. Could there be a defection or two? Yes. Could there be more? Possibly. Until the signing day gets here and they sign on the dotted line, and all these other schools trying to come at them, saying, "Hey, we want you," and there could be an NIL deal that could sway them that way. I mean, it is a wild time right now in college football.
Unless you're a 5-star or a very high 4-star, tell me why you would not want to sign in the early signing period.
Well, if you're not a January enrollee, which Arkansas, there's a few guys that are not going to be a January enrollee. If you want to see, just say the defense coordinator's named this weekend. Well, this weekend, if he's named on Sunday, he can still go visit the kids. Sunday's a quiet period. But after that, it's a dead period until January. So what if the defense coordinator is named on Monday during the dead period, the start of the dead period? Mm-hmm. You may want to just wait until January and in the February signing day to be able to interact and get to know this coach and have a face-to-face meeting. So that's one reason why you possibly might not sign in the early signing period.
I would just think unless I was so far up the recruiting board that, hey, they're going to wait and do whatever I want, and there's a few out there they will. with the transfer portal and its date open till the 18th and everything going on there, I don't want to say you risk losing your spot, but that would make my parents at least a little anxious. I think I'd be signing that dotted line. So I imagine, like we've seen in the past and like we expect, the vast majority will sign.
Oh, no doubt. And here's the deal. Even I know at least of one kid saying that he may not sign, and early. The coaches, no doubt, are going to be pushing for that young man to sign early. They just want to get everybody wrapped up so they can just focus on the bowl game. They don't have to worry about losing the kid come signing day in February. So the vast majority of signings are done in the early signing period, and you don't want to be one of those schools that have a few guys just left hanging.
Richard, a couple more questions for you this morning. This one comes from Tucker. How is Arkansas's NIL stacking up when it comes to recruiting transfer portal kids compared to other SEC schools?
All I can say is that I've been told Arkansas has plenty of NIL opportunities, and that there's enough NIL money to go around. Now, I mean, how does it compare to other SEC schools? That's kind of hard to say because schools don't really just advertise too much. Now, some of the collectives may do that a little bit, but schools don't. But I would say that they're definitely competitive. Are they near the top? I can't say.
We've been nearly asking all football questions this morning. The basketball recruiting question that so many have asked of us is about Ron Holland, Anthony Black's teammate in Duncanville. He's currently signed with Texas. We know this whole Chris Beard thing. Richard, has there been anyone, you mentioned sources earlier, any source that would lead you to believe that he's contemplating staying in Austin and maybe looking at other options?
Just be completely honest with you, I've been swamped with football and following the portal, just following everything that's involved with leading up to signing day. I haven't even checked. I can't imagine, obviously we're in uncharted territory. When's the last time a coach potentially loses his job because of the situation that's similar to Chris Beard? I mean, I think it's a shock to the system. I mean, if you're a kid who signed with them and that kid's parents, so obviously I think that they'll have to analyze the situation once everything's settled, and then obviously make a decision whether to ask for a release or not. Again, another thing to consider: what are the NIL deals that he has in place that may keep him there? I don't know.
That's a good thing to contemplate.
I want to ask you about two more kids from football, and then we can let you get on about your day. Jalen Dupree, Malvern running back. Got a chance to see him play last weekend. Had 287 yards in the state championship game. 2,700 or so yards for the season. Stud running back from Malvern who won the state title. Who's recruiting him, and what does his recruitment process look like? For those that saw him or maybe watched the game on TV, I think you couldn't be anything but impressed with the Malvern running back.
Yeah, I saw him against Ashdown. Was impressed. I don't know all the schools involved. I did communicate with his dad earlier this week, and I do know that he plans to be at an Arkansas camp this summer. So people that are hoping that Arkansas takes a look, and Arkansas is aware of him. He did visit for I think the Ole Miss game. I saw him on the sideline. So
and he is a junior. I should have said he's a junior, so he's got another year. But
right.
So
right.
But I can't imagine he's not going to be highly sought after.
Well, he's a guy that they got their eye on, and like I said, he's gonna visit Arkansas for a summer camp this summer, and then that's the best way, for coaches to be able to evaluate, to be able to see you in person, and we'll just go from there.
Terrible situation at Mississippi State, and things will play out there over time. But one other player that was there this weekend was Kyle Ferry, the kicker from Harding Academy, who seems to be very solid with Mississippi State, family tied to that. But Richard, I got to tell you, when I was watching him boom some 60-yarders into the wind before the game, made you really wish he's going to Fayetteville.
Yeah, well, Arkansas had interest, but from what I understand, his family's big Mississippi State fans. I think, don't quote me on this, I think his father graduated from there. Not 100% sure, but I do know the family's big on Mississippi State.
Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet Online, where the game starts.